your POD store isn't working, stay until the end of this episode and you'll understand exactly why. On Etsy, there are only two strategies that can realistically make you money with print on demand. You either build a brand or you copy. By building a brand, I mean a consistent visual identity, a clear theme, active social media, a story around your products. In other words, a store where you consciously make people want to buy from you. You understand design, you bring traffic from outside Etsy, and you have a plan for the next 12 months. Copying means following trends, but not design trends, sales trends. If your entire POD strategy starts with a design you personally like, or with the idea that something doesn't exist on Etsy yet, that is almost a guaranteed path to failure. The problem is not your taste or creativity. The problem is visibility. You do not gain visibility on Etsy by having a nice or interesting design and adding more listings. On YouTube, the best performing videos are always the ones where someone explains how they made $1 million on Etsy. Everyone wants to make 1 million. And even if it's clickbait, people still watch because maybe, just maybe, there's something useful inside. Some creators even show their dashboards and statistics, which builds trust. Because yes, they did make that money. A while ago, a very popular YouTuber released a video where he claimed he built a POD store in 24 hours that could generate $150,000 a year from a single product. The video explained what was done, how it was done, and showed data that seemed to prove it was possible. Many people were impressed. It looked real, especially if you learn from YouTube. When I watched that video, I immediately knew something was off. Even though I was surprised to see many well-known POD experts praise it, interview the guy, congratulate him, and leave supportive comments. 3 months later, the video has a different title. The comment section is full of critical breakdowns. And a few weeks after that, the creator launched his own software tool for Etsy POD sellers. I'm not questioning anyone's intent here. I'm pointing out how incomplete narratives create unrealistic expectations and pull people in emotionally before the full picture is ever shown. Another example is one of the most well-known YouTubers who openly talks about making her first million on Etsy using POD. She repeatedly and very aggressively claims that Etsy SEO does not matter, that you can make up tags, and that what you write in your listings has no real impact on success. Hundreds of thousands of people watch this content and then spend months building stores while completely ignoring SEO. From my perspective, this is deeply misleading. When someone speaks with extreme confidence, high emotion, and authority, while intentionally leaving out critical information, the result is not education. It's distortion, not illegal, but highly damaging to people who don't yet understand how Etsy actually works. One more example, and then we'll move to the part you probably don't want to hear, but need to. There is a YouTube consultant who offers one-on-one sessions and constantly claims that the algorithm has changed. Every week, the algorithm is different. When that explanation runs out, it's AI blocking sales. When AI stops working as a story, it's a mysterious monthly drop and Etsy manipulating traffic. It is incredibly easy to unite people who are struggling. It is incredibly easy to scare people who are already tired of trying. Collective complaining works very well online. It generates engagement, but focusing on constant external changes keeps people stuck, uh, anxious, and dependent on the next explanation. So why am I calling this out? Because reach comes with responsibility. When someone has influence, what they choose not to say matters just as much as what they say. The missing pieces, the things that are never fully explained because they don't sell hope very well, are often the exact reasons why your POD store is not working. Whether you want to build a brand or copy existing designs, you need to understand one thing. This entire game is about reach. The Etsy algorithm is built on three factors only: sales, traffic, and conversion. You must outperform your competitors in at least one of these areas. Otherwise, your products will never appear on the first pages of search results. And here's the part most people are never told, because if they were, they would stop chasing the carrot. There are only two ways to get visibility on Etsy: organic SEO or paid advertising. Let's start with organic SEO. Sellers who succeed organically spend hundreds of hours analyzing trends using tools like eRank and Everbee. They don't just look at popular tags, they look for niche tags that are just starting to spike. They analyze cyclical trends using Google Trends. They study how buyers describe what they want in a given year, what language they use, and how that language changes. With that knowledge, they constantly add new designs and products using precise data-backed tags. They test endlessly, relisting the same products with different main images, different videos, and different tag structures. Um, Over and over again, always analyzing data. This creates multiple opportunities, multiple legs that can eventually start working. Before launching anything, they already know whether there is demand and what the odds of selling actually are. Nothing is done blindly. Often products are created for data, um, not the other way around. This isn't hard. You can learn the basics of Etsy SEO in 2 hours. But after that, you need to be prepared to spend dozens of hours inside data before you ever start designing. Organic SEO is about analysis, not creative guesses or AI generated tag ideas. And by the way, ChatGPT is not connected to Etsy's API. So any tag suggestions you get are educated fantasies at best. Now, advertising. Sellers making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year with POD are running ad budgets of around $1,000 per day and hoping Etsy spends all of it. This is not about visibility in general. It's about the right visibility. If you want to compete in popular categories and sell volume, you must understand ads. You must know when to optimize listings for single word keywords and when to focus on long tail phrases. And when I say you must know, I don't mean watch a few videos. I mean, you must have a clear strategy for where, how, and next to which products you want your listings to appear. You are paying to be shown next to other products in places where buyers already are. That decision cannot be improvised. Everything must be calculated in advance, including your target margin, before you ever attempt to compete in a category. Let's pause here because this is the biggest unspoken truth of POD. Margins are brutally low. Most products are barely profitable. You might find products selling thousands of units per year, but what you don't see is that the seller often keeps 3 or 4%. That means from $100,000 in revenue, 3 or $4,000 remain. And that's with Printify margins set at 30 to 40%. The best sellers can reach 10 to 15%, sometimes 20, but never by accident. Everything is calculated. Ads, income tax, VAT, Etsy fees, offsite ads, design software, AI tools, all of it must be anticipated upfront. Ads do not work before a 30-day testing period. Um, for new listings, if you calculate that you need to spend $100 a day to get proper visibility, you cannot turn ads off after 12 days because $1,200 feels uncomfortable. That's how money gets burned, frustration builds, and people never understand why copying bestsellers doesn't work. Now, back to those YouTube examples. The creator who showed how a single product could generate $150,000 a year left out key details that were visible in his own comments. He ran ads from day one at around $1,000, which is impossible for a new store. New stores have limits. His store was not new. It had um, sales history and a follower base that received notifications. When costs were calculated properly, the product was actually unprofitable after 3 months, a zero margin. He later admitted this, explaining that once the product ranked on page one, profitability would come over time. And to be very clear, the product sold for months at the lowest possible price on Etsy, generate no profit, and was then used as proof of massive success because revenue numbers looked impressive. Revenue without profit means nothing. The second example is similar. SEO doesn't matter if you can spend $1,000 a day on ads. That's $30,000 a month. At that scale, Etsy will generate keywords automatically, and sheer reach allows you to sell volume and claim $1 million store. That doesn't mean SEO doesn't matter. It means money is replacing strategy. The third example is the most extreme. You cannot advise sellers while constantly claiming the algorithm has changed, AI is blocking sales, or Etsy is manipulating traffic. Successful POD sellers plan 3 to 6 months ahead for every product. They know how much they will invest, what revenue is realistic, and they align SEO and ads accordingly to reach sustainable margins. And just to repeat it once more, the algorithm is sales, traffic, and conversion. You need a strategy to dominate at least one of these to appear where most transactions happen on the first 2 pages of search. One last thing, did you notice that I haven't talked about design until now? Design comes last. Either you find places with high demand and low competition and design for that audience, or you enter competitive categories, adapt your design to what already performs on the first 2 pages, and run ads big enough to appear next to top sellers. There is no third path in POD. If you're starting with POD or you've been deep in it and nothing works, the problem is not what you're doing. The problem is what nobody tells you. POD is living inside data. POD is high revenue with low margins or low revenue with moderate margins. POD at scale is driven by advertising budgets. POD design follows what already sells. POD is precise cost calculation. POD is working with the algorithm, not against it. And finally, POD on Etsy is exactly like growing a YouTube channel or a social media profile in 2026. Success is not linear. Daily effort does not feel rewarding. You analyze, calculate, test, add products, increase budgets, and nothing feels consistent. The beginning is not hard, it is long and flat until one product hits, one category opens up, and suddenly your store explodes. Often because one product appears on the first 2 pages of search results, driven by sales, traffic, or exceptional conversion.